Hello, my presentation is on AI-enabled cybercrime and fraud in Canada. My strategic intelligence assessment looks at how artificial intelligence is changing the scale, sophistication, and accessibility of cybercrime affecting Canadians, and what Canadian law enforcement should do to prepare for this emerging threat. The main intelligence question guiding my assessment is, how is artificial intelligence changing the scale, sophistication, and accessibility of cybercrime and fraud affecting Canadians, and what should Canadian law enforcement agencies do to prepare? The main issue I identify is that AI does not necessarily create completely new crimes. Instead, it makes existing crimes faster, more scalable, and more personalized, and potentially more difficult to detect. So now we talk about how AI is changing cybercrime. One of my main findings is that AI acts as a force multiplier for existing cybercrime. For example, criminals can use deepfake videos or voice cloning to impersonate executives, public figures, family members, or other trusted individuals. Generative AI can also create professional looking phishing messages without some of the spelling and grammatical mistakes that traditionally made scams easier to recognize. This means offenders can potentially target more victims while making fraudulent communications appear more legitimate. The Canadian threat. This threat is important because AI enabled crime is developing within an already significant Canadian cybercrime environment. In 2024, Canada recorded 225.1 police reported cybercrimes per 100,000 people, which was more than twice the comparable rate in 2018. KPMG also reported that 81% of 251 Canadian business leaders whose organizations experienced fraud in the previous 12 months said the attack was AI enabled. However, there is an important limitation here. We cannot assume that the overall increase in Canadian cybercrime was caused by AI. The distinction is one of the intelligence gaps identified in my assessment. I also applied the intelligence cycles into the issue. During planning and direction, my main requirement was determining how AI is changing cybercrime in Canada and what capabilities law enforcement will need. For collection, I use government, law enforcement, regulatory, statistical industry, and international sources. During processing and analysis, I organized the information by offense type, AI capability, affected sector, geographic scope, financial impact, and source reliability. I also compared sources so I could separate established evidence from emerging or uncertain threats. The key judgments. My assessment resulted in three main key judgments. My first judgment, with high confidence, is that AI will likely continue increasing the scale and sophistication of cyber enabled fraud affecting Canadians over the next 1 to 3 years. My second judgment, with moderate to high confidence, is that deep fake audio videos and synthetic identities will increasingly challenge traditional identity verification practices. My third judgment, with moderate confidence, is that AI will primarily remain a force multiplier for existing crimes rather than create entirely new categories of crime. Long-term impact and intelligence gaps. In the longer term, AI crime could create several challenges. Investigators may have greater difficulty determining whether digital communication voices, images, or videos are authentic. Police services could also face higher investigative workload and greater demand for specialized cybercrime personnel. There's also a potential public trust issue as people become more aware that realistic videos, voices, images, and messages can be artificially generated. Determining what information is authentic may become increasingly difficult. My assessment also identified major intelligence gaps. Most importantly, we still do not know what portion of Canadian cybercrime directly involves AI. Here are my recommendations. Based on my findings, I developed 5 recommendations for Canadian law enforcement. First, police services should improve AI specific crime reporting so analysis can determine when deepfakes, voice cloning, synthetic identities, or AI generated phishing are involved. Second, specialized training should be expanded for investigators, intelligence analysis, fraud investigators, and appropriate frontline personnel. Third, law enforcement should strengthen intelligence sharing with financial institutions, telecommunications companies, technology companies, social media platforms, and cybersecurity organizations. Fourth, organizations should strengthen verification practices instead of relying on voice, video, or email. Finally, Canada should strengthen international cooperations because offenders, victims, evidence, and financial assets can all be located in different countries. To conclude, artificial intelligence is changing Canadian cybercrime environment by increasing the potential scale, sophistication, and accessibility of existing criminal techniques. The evidence suggests that AI will mainly function as a force multiplier rather than creating completely new categories of crime. For Canadian law enforcement, the response should therefore focus on strengthening existing cybercrime capabilities while adapting intelligence communications, reporting, training, verification, public-private partnerships, and international cooperations. Because AI technology is also developing rapidly, this threat will also require continuous strategic intelligence assessment rather than one-time response.